Someone has made a revolutionary declaration. Among the many scenarios in the demon world, the status of the revolutionary scenario was large, the only existence that could threaten the dukes sitting at the highest point of the industrial complex. A revolutionary, this existence was the hope and legend of the citizens. At the same time, it was also despair. That's why the moment I spoke, countless people around me held their breaths. Their faces wondered if they had heard correctly. "Why are you so startled? Weren't you looking for the revolutionary?" My shameless words caused the confusion on the people's face to become consternation. At the same time, there was a message that only I could hear. You aren't a revolutionary. It was an obvious message. Right now, I was an exile who was outside the scenario. I couldn't be the revolutionary who was the backbone of the main scenario of the demon world, when I didn't even have a scenario in the first place. It was originally supposed to be like this. Your declaration has affected the main scenario of the Sistwitz industrial complex. As you know, the most important thing in the star stream was the probability. A revolutionary. The thick chains covering the scythe were revealed. The executioner took one step forward, and I couldn't help feeling nervous. Honestly, I had no way of killing the executioner. Nevertheless, I didn't back down. I had to do it here. Yes, I'm a revolutionary. Why did you reveal yourself? If I stay back, someone else will die. Zhang Haiyang and the other citizens were staring at me with wide open mouths. I waited nervously as I watched the incoming executioner. It was time for the effect to appear. Many citizens admire your courage. That's it. Your noble courage affects the development of the scenario. You have caused a big influence on the scenario. The scenario will temporarily assign you a status. You've become a self-proclaimed revolutionary. If an existing revolutionary dies, you will be given this position. This was a stepping stone for me to enter the scenario. The hidden scenario self-proclaimed revolutionary has been acquired. It was the first time that a scenario acquisition message was so welcome. It might be hidden scenario and not a main scenario, but it was sufficient for the moment. The hidden scenario of the 73rd Demon Realm. It was a secret I wouldn't have known if it wasn't for Yu Jinkyuk's countless failures. Wait, are you really a revolutionary? Hey! The people were unable to control their fear and cried out. However, the timing was not good. Finally, the executioner started to move. Black smoke emerged from the executioner's mouth and wound itself around my body. The Sistwitz executioner has placed a mark of death on you. You have been identified as the scapegoat of the night. People saw the mark appear around me and shouted, "Get out of the way! Ah!" The fragments of the broken table scattered in the air, and the scythe of the executioner cut the space in front of it. I dodged the scythe by a hair's breadth. It would have been difficult to avoid if my body wasn't repaired, but now the story was different. The exile penalty is slightly alleviated. There was a warmth in every breath that I let out. There was a mild aura around my body, and the chill was gone. I dodged a series of moves from the executioner. Indeed, the difference between having a scenario and not having a scenario was great. It might be a hidden scenario, but the presence of a story changed the liveliness of my existence. Revolutionary. The executioner was a bit surprised, but my movements and his momentum changed. The space has been temporarily closed. You can't escape from the pub. I smiled bitterly. This was why numerous powerful people couldn't resist the executioner. There was no way to escape from the executioner in the industrial complex. Was that all? "Dodge, you idiot!" As Zhang Haiyang shouted, energy was fired from the executioner's scythe. No citizen of the industrial complex can resist the executioner. The execution will take place. His special skill execution ignored the defense of the opponent and dealt a fatal blow. No matter the strength of the citizens, they could never endure one blow from the executioner's scythe. The executioner's scythe was just about to cut through my body. In my hand, Blade of Faith cried out violently. "I'm sorry, but I'm not a citizen." Magic power emerged from the heart of the gold dragon, and the white pure star energy wrapped around my fingertips. "I told you, I am a revolutionary." Well, I was still a self-proclaimed one, but the dazzling white-blue energy collided with the executioner's scythe and tremendous sparks occurred. In the midst of these gorgeous effects, a message was heard. You aren't a main scenario participant. You aren't a citizen. You are an exile. You are affected by the execution effect of the scenario. As expected, I knew it. The effect of execution is neutralized. The moment I blocked the blow from the scythe, the surrounding incarnation shouted, He blocked a blow from the executioner! Is he really a revolutionary? Those who didn't know my identity were watching the situation with eyes full of distrust. Your scenario contribution has increased. The executioner misunderstood me and energy burst from his body. Insolent. I talked as if to provoke him. Don't play around. I know that you're only strong at night. What? Once this night is over, you will surely die. I spoke while twisting unbroken faith in my hand. I will surely kill you. The scythe flooded towards me dozens of times. The executioner wasn't weak just because execution didn't work. It would just take him a longer time to dispose of me. Thus, it was too early to say that the situation was better. I can't protect everyone, so leave here. Everyone other than me could escape this place because they didn't receive the effect of the mark. Among those running out of the pub, I saw Jang Haehyung turn back and look at me. I quickly glanced at him before using bookmark. Selecting the fourth bookmark, like Haeyeon, is a parang. The exclusive skill Way of the Wind, level 10, +1, is activated. It would be easier to win if I used the fifth bookmark, Kyrgios, but winning this fight wasn't my goal in the first place. No, I couldn't win. The target isn't affected by your attack. No one can kill the executioner until the night is over. My blade slashed at his collar, but this was the only message I received in return. His execution didn't affect me, but my attacks couldn't hurt him while it was night. I had to change the plan. The surrounding pub area was ruined and the power of the wind started to surge. The dozens of scythe shadows flying through the air became stuck as the wind blew. On the other hand, my movements became more active. The balance of speed was breaking. His movements were always slower than me, and I was always one step faster than him. This was the essence of Way of the Wind that had reached its limit. It was a force that controlled all acceleration in the space. You're slow, like a slug. The scythe of the angry executioner started to randomly move through the air. Normally, I wouldn't be hit by such attacks. However, the goddess of luck from Olympus laughed at me and one scythe accidentally entered the range. Ick! The moment the unexpected blow was about to strike me in the side, my right arm suddenly twisted in a strange shape and I blocked it. The talent of the swordmaster that sits in your right arm is shining. I was surprised as well. I didn't think the fragments of the story worked in this way. The user of the incomplete story has made your body's status unstable. Your stories might be at risk if you continue fighting excessively. I bit my lips. The coldness was once again coming back. I had acquired a hidden scenario, but I couldn't use excessive force to deal with the executioner. I shouldn't continue fighting against it. I had to buy time while avoiding it as much as possible. At least until this damn night was over. You will die. I didn't respond and kept using Way of the Wind. It would have been nice if Yu Jun-kyuk was here. If I had the help of a transcendent, then I could easily endure this long night. However, no one was here. Judge of Destruction Jung Hee-won, Steel Sword Lee Hyung-sung, Maritime Admiral Lee Ji-hee, my lovely kids, Lee Gil-young and Shin Yu-sung, Han Soo-young, well, she wouldn't have helped if she was here. Here, I was alone. I believed in the information I knew and the stories I had built up, myself as well. There were screams from the nervous people as the executioner's movement started to become slightly dull. I started mocking him. What? Are you tired? I knew an invincible person like this would never feel exhaustion. It was more than annoyance than exhaustion. My words were actually to hide my condition. Bookmark's duration is about to expire. The time that I could use Way of the Wind was 30 minutes at most. In the first place, Bookmark wasn't a skill that could last a long time. By the way, the executioner was laughing. There was a creepy sound effect, and dozens of executioners appeared. The most terrible thing about the night was that there wasn't one executioner. All the executioners in the Sistwitz industrial complex gathered in this small club and stared at me. Your mistake. He deliberately consumed time while collecting his colleagues. It was to definitely kill me during this night. I watched the movements of the executioners surrounding me and modified my posture. This was unavoidable. It was impossible to run away from them even if I used Way of the Wind. No, you're the one who made a mistake. However, 30 minutes was enough to achieve my goal. I watched the incoming scythes and opened my arms. Numerous scythes broke through the air towards my body. Some incarnations closed their eyes and sighed bitterly. This soon turned to cries of surprise. The scythes that would have surely pierced me and torn me apart. The scythes stopped in the air. What? The confused executioners looked at the weapons in the air with stupid eyes. I suddenly recalled a sentence from Ways of Survival. There are 2 ways to withstand night in the industrial complex. One is to run away from the executioners until the end of the night, and the other one. Have you forgotten? There isn't only the evolutionary and the executioner in this scenario. This was followed by a message in my ears. Someone is using their vitality to protect you. The second way to survive the night is with the help of the Guardian. As expected, I thought this would lead to the hidden Guardian coming out. Eileen said that even the council members didn't know who the revolutionary was. This meant that the other incarnations didn't know the identity of the revolutionary. In other words, they couldn't protect the revolutionary when they didn't know the revolutionary. Yet what if I declared myself the revolutionary? The Guardian was successful, and the Mark of Death has been released. The executioner could only use the Mark of Death once in one night. The mark had been released, so today's execution was over. The executioner spoke in a bloodthirsty voice. Your luck is good. You better be careful. Next time we meet, it will be daytime. The executioners gritted their teeth and scattered one by one. The dreary sound of the flutes disappeared and the darkness went out like a tide. Outside the pub, the incarnations were staring inside with passionate eyes. The arrogant Zhang Haiyang was glancing this way with shocked eyes. I wondered if I should say something before eventually shrugging and waving my hand. New revolutionary! A new revolutionary has appeared! Along with the citizens' shouts, the short night was finally over. I looked at the citizens and had a thought. One of them would be a guardian. The future scenarios must be performed with the guardian. I looked up at the sky and it was still dark. I sometimes saw a few stars, but they were so dim I couldn't see them properly. Uriel, the great sage, the equal of heaven. It would have been nice if those guys were watching, but unfortunately, there was no message. Still, I should be satisfied with today. No one died tonight.